and welcome to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. I am your host, Sam Randazzo, and I am joined by my two rather jaded co-hosts. To my right, it is the one and only Uncle Sam.
Hello.
And behind the computer, glazing his own ham, it is Bruce, the tugboat Venditti.
What's up?
Week 10 has come and almost gone. We have a Monday night matchup tonight, but we were all wrong this weekend. Besides Bruce. Bruce had the best record this weekend. He only lost 2 games. Me and Uncle Sam had some bold predictions on Friday's show, and unfortunately some of them did not pan out. But let's talk about everything. First and foremost, I want to start off talking about the Las Vegas Raiders, because now we have a situation with a team that all of us really thought had a ton of promise going into the year, and somehow is second from the bottom as far as NFL standings go. They have the 32nd ranked overall defense. Yesterday, I would say the offense looked kind of puzzling at times, to say the least. We had a quarterback who has been there for 9 years, essentially come out after the game during his press conference, and being emotional is an understatement. I honestly felt bad for Derek Carr watching it. At the same time, I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, you've been here for 9 years. Yes, most of them have been filled with absolute debauchery, but at what point do we start to put the blame on everybody in Vegas? I mean, Derek Carr yesterday was, I would say, average at best. I mean, the guy is a true fighter. He has more heart than, I would say, 90% of the quarterbacks in this league. I'll say that much.
From what he said,
Bigger heart than talent.
More heart than talent.
Yeah.
Agree with you 1,000%. Now, at the same time, when you're in the league for 9 years and you're not that successful, and year after year everybody says, okay, they're a receiver away. They're a running back away. They just need a little bit better offensive line. And you look at the stat sheet, he's never had a defense better than the 25th ranked defense in the NFL. All of his time's there, statistically.
Correct.
Statistically. So I will say this. Derek Carr, he is what everybody knows he is. He's somewhere in the middle of the pack talent-wise. He's not really good enough to be a Super Bowl quarterback, right? We know what he's going to do. But I will give it to the guy. His heart is second to none. His want to win and his intensity in the game is second to none. He's a gritty guy. He puts everything he has into this game. And after the game, in the press conference, in which he was very emotional, he came out and said, half the guys in this locker room are extremely invested and believe in what we're doing and give it their all every day in practice and have to take things to go to sleep and put their bodies and minds on the line every day to try and get us to where we need to be. And the rest of the team don't give a shit. In a quick synopsis of his 8-minute presser yesterday. So, in my opinion, this falls on the back of of two people. Number one, when you have a roster as talented as the Las Vegas Raiders, okay? Let's rehash this real quick. Devontae Adams was regarded as the best wide receiver in football, probably still is by most. Darren Waller was up there with the ranks of Andrews and Kelsey. Okay? Josh Jacobs at times this year has showed us he can be a premier back in this league. All right? Their defense. I mean, Max Crosby is elite. Chandler Jones is elite. We thought going into this year, Jonathan Abrams, who is no longer even with the team, was a top-tier guy, right? They have talent all over the place. And for some reason, they cannot get a win to save their life. They have
It's obviously what the problem is. It's the coaching staff. Josh McDaniels in general.
Well, number one.
Because he had the same thing happen in Denver quite some years ago when he had his first shot as a head coach. And they were sending players packing out of Denver.
It was, we have to.
Brandon Marshall.
Well,
premier player.
I watched an interview from Brandon Marshall about this exact topic, right? Okay. And he was talking about what it takes to be a head coach in the NFL. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of people out here who are extremely skeptical of this Jeff Saturday hire. But we saw yesterday, toe-to-toe, Josh McDaniels has a ton of coaching experience in the NFL. Not only head coaching, but
coordinator.
As one of the highest regarded coordinators in the game.
Yes.
Okay? That's number one. Jeff Saturday, is 6 days removed from an ESPN telecast. All right? No coaching
High
experience.
school coaching
High school
experience.
coaching experience. But when I watched that post-game presser, Josh McDaniels spoke before Derek Carr. And Josh McDaniels went up there very Belichickian fashion and just
Stoic.
we're on to the next game. It is what it is. You know, we had too many penalties. We made bad plays here. And pretty much go fuck yourself. Let's move on with this.
They did have 75 yards of penalties.
Correct. Penalties were a massive issue for the Raiders yesterday. But Josh McDaniels, and this goes back to the Brandon Marshall thing. Brandon Marshall said Josh McDaniels and other coaches that coach under the Belichick regime are second to none with the X's and O's. They know everything you're going to throw at them. They are fundamentally, as far as football goes, second to none. But they do not know in any way, shape, or form how to lead a locker room. And so we can take...
They're not motivators.
Correct. They are not motivators. They are not leaders of men.
Correct.
Jeff Saturday, in his post-game thing yesterday, that was a leader of men.
He always was.
He always was, always has been, and that's why Irsay hired him with no coaching experience. Josh McDaniels is not a leader of men. He does not have control of his locker room. He does not have that team
Well,
motivated.
he's obviously lost half of his team.
He lost half his team. Half of the team does
Sounds
not
like
want...
the same thing that happened with
Well,
Matt Patricia in Detroit.
As we're sitting
He
here
lost his
talking
team.
about this, an article just hit my phone saying Josh McDaniels has obviously lost his locker room, and there's no way he can survive that.
So, correct. I think we're all on the same page here, but being in Detroit, we've seen this once already.
Correct.
We watched Matt Patricia come in here, and statistically, and when he's trying to, you don't understand, the offense at times doesn't work, right? The Raiders' offense should be, I mean, with all of the weapons they have, it should be top 10. And we've watched Josh McDaniels win Super Bowls over and over and over again.
With his
scheme.
play calling.
Correct.
And his schemes, the guy's made, but you know what? Let's go back to that. He also had the greatest tight end in football.
He did. But Darren Waller should be that guy.
Darren Waller should be that guy.
He has one of the best wide receivers in football.
He has, no, I mean, let's cut the bullshit right now.
Devontae Adams is the best receiver.
Devontae Adams, well, I'm going to disagree with you.
Well, maybe Jefferson.
We're going to get to that later on.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams is a top 3, period.
Yes.
Okay.
Whichever way you want to break it down. Year to year, since he has entered the league, he has been a top 3 receiver.
Yes.
And yesterday, he had that kind of a game. 126 and a touchdown. You can't ask for anything more out of the guy. But when you have that kind of talent, the aura should emulate to the rest of the team, and it's not. And that falls on the back of Josh McDaniels. And even more so, if you want to go a step deeper, you want to know who's to blame here?
The owner.
Mark Davis.
Mark Davis's weird ass.
Mark Davis had a coordinator that everybody wanted as the interim coach last year.
Correct. And he
That
chose to go in
everybody wanted him
he
to
chose
take.
to go in a different direction.
And he thought he was the smartest guy in the room. And we keep seeing
That's what
this.
happens with guys like him and Jerry Jones and everybody else. They think they're the smartest guy in the room.
We keep seeing this over and over. These NFL coaches come in and they're these incredible coordinators and they've led their teams to glory and all of the above. And then you get assholes like Jeff Saturday, who was probably...
You know what, though? Jeff Saturday did something that all these other guys would have been afraid to do. He went against the owner and said, You know what? Matt Ryan's my fucking quarterback. He had, what was it? A 2-hour session with them, a workout, and said Matt Ryan's the fucking guy. We all knew that Ellinger's not the guy.
You want to know something? I bet you, and yes, they said that Irsay wanted Ellinger to be the guy and he wanted to move on from Matt Ryan, but I bet you Jim Irsay, after sitting down and talking to Jeff Saturday after that,
and got Jeff Saturday's fucking opinion.
Got his opinion.
And said, you know what, Jeff, you're right.
You're right. And if it would have been Frank Reich that did that, he would have never done it. Why? Because the NFL head coach should not be an X's and O's guy. And this is part of the reason why I disagreed with you on the Dan Campbell shit a couple weeks ago. It is more important now in the NFL
to have a motivator.
To have a guy, a coach that the players can get behind, to have a true born leader of men.
Brian Dabo.
And Brian Dabo, Dan Campbell, Jeff Saturday, than it is for the head coach.
I will say you're right in a lot of aspects, but when your coaches start fucking giving games away, different animal.
Guess what? I'm sure
what I
before
was
this
talking.
season is over, Jeff Saturday will give a game away. He will.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
He wears his emotions on his
But you know
sleeve.
what? He lets his coordinators do their jobs. That's
the key.
the difference. You got to let the people that work for you do their fucking job.
If your head coach, outside of Bill Belichick and Andy Reid, we're going to take those two out of the equation. If your head coach is the smartest guy in the coaching room, you got an issue. If your head coach is the most experienced guy in the room, you got an issue because he's already slighted. If your head coach knows X's and O's better than anybody else in your coaching room, you're fucked because your coordinators aren't where they should be. The offensive and defensive coordinators should be the most football-centric, knowledgeable guys in the room. And if they sit there with their fucking mouth shut through every meeting, that's fine. But your head coach needs to get up there and he needs to make sure.
A head coach is real simple. It's a motivator,
Bingo.
and you make the final call. The final call. Meaning when the game is on the line, it's your
Decision-making.
ass.
That's, you know what? If we want to throw this into Dan Campbell a little bit, Dan Campbell's biggest issue is pressure decision making. But the two biggest attributes for a head coach is motivation and leader of men and crunch time decision making.
What head coach have you ever seen doing down-ups with their fucking players?
Nobody.
Thank you.
Absolutely nobody. Andy Reid would fucking die if he tried to do it
Who was the coach who got a
down.
penalty in was that college or something? And he was doing he did like 50 push-ups on the sideline.
Well,
'cause
anyway,
he got a penalty.
what head coach in the NFL have you ever seen
I'm
in
just
training
talking about
camp
coaches
doing
that do
down-ups
that.
with your fucking players?
Now,
Oh, no.
None. Zero.
None.
Zero.
And so you know
Zero.
what? I talked a lot of shit about the Jeff Saturday hire earlier in the week, and I watched this game yesterday, and it all made perfect sense to me. I had a come to God moment because I'll tell you what, Matt Ryan, for being the old has-been wash-up that he is and looking as fucking atrocious as he did with Frank Reich in there and getting replaced for a guy who doesn't know the difference between the pylon and his own dick. Matt Ryan yesterday went out with 110 QBR, okay?
21 of 28 for 222 and a tug.
And won the game against a more talented team.
His persona on the field, his leadership on the field, had those guys playing at a level that they haven't played at in weeks.
I mean, granted,
Since he went out.
Granted, they got Jonathan Taylor back. Jonathan Taylor did a Jonathan Taylor thing, but that's, again, Jonathan Taylor, you got to respect him. But how fucking bad?
22 carries.
He got
That's
22
the key.
carries,
Over 20
147
carries.
yards, average 6.5 per carry, and got a touchdown.
Even Josh Jacobs had 21 carries for 78 and a tud.
Right.
And that's fine. As long as you're giving the guy, listen, if you want to control the clock, give the guy the ball, they got to have the ball in between 20 to 25 times a game.
The issue is with Josh Jacobs, and that we go back to this week after week. He'll go off 1 week, and he'll have 150 yards and average 6 yards per carry, and then 3 weeks in a row where, yes, they gave him 20 carries. Yes, he ran for 78 yards, but he's only averaging 3.5 yards per carry. That is not
that
going
their
to
offensive
cut it.
line's not doing their fucking
Offensive
job.
line's not doing their job. The defense on the Raiders, I'm sorry, they're unmotivated. When you have a guy as talented as Chandler Jones.
You got a guy like Max Crosby who's in on just about every tackle, even if it's downfield, giving that kind of effort, watching these other guys kind of go through the fucking motions. Is that why Jonathan Abrams got cut?
Probably.
Maybe Jonathan Abrams probably didn't agree with Josh McDaniels. And the next thing you know, you got a fucking guy who was a first-round pick getting cut.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, what is going on here? And at what point does this dick measuring contest stop? That fucking shit needs to stop.
There's some big issues there. That team is
you know how it goes with the Patriots.
I don't know why I'm going to say this, but ever since they lost Chucky, they haven't been the same.
No, I mean, I'll tell you what.
They were an up-and-coming team when basically
he had them ready to go last year.
He had them
ready to fucking go.
He had them ready to go. And you know what? All that shit that happened with Dan Schneider now it's coming out that all that could have been lies, could have been this, could have been that. So basically this guy was hung out to dry over some fucking stuff that they're calling, and there was no dysfunction in Washington, that they were trying to tank this, that, and the other thing. They're coming up with anything to get rid of Dan Schneider, and I get it. But you know what? They're affecting two teams, not one team, two teams. Because now you affected the Raiders also because of their bullshit.
Well,
And I'm talking about because of Washington.
I mean, at the end of the day, this Raiders team was a playoff team last year with less talent.
Correct.
And more bullshit.
Correct.
It doesn't make sense. So I don't know what's going on there. It's Josh McDaniels just put out a story that he has no issue with the player effort around the team.
I don't
so now we have a quarterback.
Clearly a
I don't believe
problem.
that either. We have a quarterback and a head coach who obviously aren't on the same page. When you got your starting quarterback, your starting veteran quarterback, out there in tears yesterday in the post-game presser. But I'm going to give it to Jeff Saturday. And you know what? I'm gonna take a shot for Jeff Irsay because at the end of the day,
I think Jim Irsay doesn't need anybody to take shots for him. He does his own just fine.
He had that took a lot of balls to do what he did.
Yeah.
And it's looking like it may have been a good move. And guess what? There's no pressure on the Colts. If the Colts win 3 more fucking games the rest of the year, nobody cares.
He's
they know
interim.
They know
He's
where they
interim.
are. Guess what? The biggest lie that Irsay told in that presser was that Jeff Saturday was an interim head coach.
I think Jeff Saturday, if he continues to win football games, he'll be the coach here next year.
Outside of him losing every game,
yeah,
from here on out, he's got the fucking job. Irsay can't come out and say it because his drunk white ass would get absolutely butchered with the fucking Rooney Rule, but
correct.
That's the case. Everybody knows that it's in plain sight. But I'll tell you what, the Colts yesterday
impressed me.
The way Matt Ryan played, the way Jonathan Taylor ran off of injury, the way that the defense,
shorthanded defense, played their ass off.
Correct. Yeah, because Shaq Leonard gone now forever. And Franklin went down. Leonard's backup went down.
Yeah.
Early in the game, so their linebacking core is decimated, and they still managed to win this game. Granted, they don't have anybody in the secondary who could cover Devontae Adams, and that's why he had the game he had. But the Colts going forward, I mean, for the position that they are in, you can't really take too much away from them in that game. I will say that much. The next game I want to talk about, and I'm going to jump around a little bit today, just an FYI. I want to talk about the game of the week, possibly the game of the year up until this point, and that was the Minnesota Vikings going into Buffalo and essentially Josh Allen mistaking his way into a Vikings win. So this was everything that we thought it was going to be. This was a great, absolutely great football game. Both sides, I mean...
You got so lucky, dude.
What?
You got lucky that Cousins had OT because he had like 8 points.
Guess what? I didn't care. Watching this football game, I did not care about fantasy. I didn't care about anything else. This was truly one of the most entertaining back and forth games I've watched in a very long time. And I'll tell you this much. Kirk Cousins did not have a good game. He didn't. But the difference here is Kirk Cousins was 30 for 50, 60%, 357 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks. He was sacked 4 times. QBR of 71. Now, the difference is, and we've been saying this about the Bills for weeks now, all right? And you're going to sit here and tell me, oh my God, Devin Singletary, 2 touchdowns. Devin Singletary ran the ball 13 times for 47 yards. Until the Bills can figure out a way to run the football, they will not. He's right. As much as it pains me to say that, as much as it feels like a burning hemorrhoid to say that, he's right. The Bills have been exposed because they cannot run the football and they are too one-dimensional. And Josh Allen, he threw 43 times this week against
the guy is taking a beating. Every game he's in, he's taking a beating.
Against a very good Vikings defense, he threw the ball 43 times. And if we go back, there are games where he's throwing the ball 50, 60, 65 times.
That's crazy.
1, you're going to get him killed. He's right. 2,
and he's going to turn the ball over.
He has 7 interceptions in the last 5 games. And if you look at it, how many fucking times has he thrown the ball in the last 5 games? Truly.
He's averaging 50 throws a game.
Easily. I mean, if we look at it, his attempts this year.
It's crazy. It's every
He has thrown the ball 341 times this year. 341 times.
Yeah.
That's not
what you want your quarterback doing.
Correct. So inevitably, when you're throwing 50 passes a game, one or two of them is going to go to the other team.
If you remember when the Kansas City Chiefs were the same fucking way, Pat Mahomes throwing ball 50 to 60 times a game.
Yep.
Guess what? They didn't win.
They didn't win. When they had Kareem Hunt and handing the ball off to him, they won.
They won easily.
So Josh, they have to do something about it. They have to.
Yeah,
and there's a lot of talk saying that OBJ is going to sign with Buffalo this week, and that's great, but I don't care. You could have Jerry Rice
give him as
come out
many
of retirement.
fucking receivers as you want. It doesn't matter.
Diggs.
You could have Jerry Rice come out of retirement.
Hey, you know what? If I was
Who else
them,
do you need?
I would be looking at a fucking bell cow running back. I wouldn't even, if you're going to bring another guy into this team to make a playoff push, it better be somebody that can run the football.
They need like a Saquon there.
But they don't. They
ain't gonna get a Saquon. You know what they need? They need a powerhouse back, sort of like Pacheco, a guy like that. That's
they just
young,
need somebody more
that
reliable.
can pound the football. Josh Jacobs, somebody like that.
Or if you drafted James Cook early, all right,
play him.
Drafted him early.
Play him.
He got 5 fucking carries.
Play him.
Right? Just take a game and give James Cook the ball 15 times in the first half.
20. Give him 25. Give him 25 carries in a game and see what he can do.
And just see what happens. And if it don't work, then God bless. But now we're in a situation where the Bills plummeted down to 3rd place in the division. They fell from a 1 to a 6 seed overnight.
Everybody better watch out for the New England Patriots.
Oh, there's still one team worse than them. But I'll say this: Stephon Diggs.
They're on a bye week. They're 5-4.
You had Stephon Diggs with 128 yards, Gabe Davis with 93 and a tud, Dawson Knox 57 yards. The throwing the ball is not the issue. But then I'm gonna bring the coaching into question here now. That play,
that guy over there, I'm gonna let you know about something about him. I'm not a fan of his. I'm not a fan of his.
You can sit here and put the blame on Josh Allen all you want. Me as a layman sitting at home, was sitting there thinking, God, when they had the ball on the one after the 4th down where Cousins didn't make it, and they had the ball on the goal line. It was not on the 1. It was not on the 6-inch. There was a single blade of grass between the ball and the goal line. You're up 3. You got one of the top 5 defenses in football.
Kneel it.
Take a knee in the fucking end zone, go up by 1, because 1 in fucking, it didn't make a difference.
Correct.
And
there wasn't enough time left for them to do anything.
Make Kirk Cousins with 2 picks already, with a 70 QBR, who's not having the best game ever, make him earn it. And if you stack the fucking box and don't let Dalvin Cook break off a good run, you got the game won by a point.
I will say this. Kirk Cousins made a pass just before they got to that goal line in between 2 defenders where only his guy could get it. And Jefferson made an absolute amazing catch at the 1. And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? That throw
crazy.
Had to be perfect to even complete it.
I don't know what was in the Gatorade that they gave Kirk Cousins at the end of that game.
He was incredible. I will say that. He was incredible.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Under duress, getting sacked. Their defensive line is no joke.
No.
Buffalo's defensive line was coming, and they were coming hard. And he was getting pounded. I was shocked
he was sacked
that
4
he
times.
wasn't getting roughing the passer calls on him.
Well, it's Kirk Cousins.
I was shocked.
It's Kirk Cousins.
True.
He threw the ball 50
it wasn't
times.
Dak Prescott.
Right. He threw the ball 50 times yesterday, okay?
Yeah.
And 2 were picks. That's fine and dandy. Again, if you're throwing the ball 50 times,
you're
it's
going to have
inevitable.
turnovers. You're going to have turnovers throwing the ball 50 times.
Him, and Justin Jefferson yesterday looked like the best receiver in football, and not just by a little. He looked like the best receiver in football.
He's uncoverable.
Dead ass. Him in the Vikings uniform yesterday, he looked like fucking Randy Moss. They could not cover him. They had him double
uncoverable yesterday, and he was just amazing. And Cousins knew where he was going to be on every play.
It was truly. I'm not exaggerating here. He was absolutely
that throw that he had. And I'm sorry, I thought Jefferson was closer to the end zone than what they spotted that ball at. But
agree.
In my opinion,
his shoulder was down.
that was inches from the fucking goal line.
Yep.
And they had him at least 1.5 to 2 feet.
That was a absolute. Yeah. That was an ESPN classic performance.
There's another
Justin
thing.
Jefferson yesterday.
Why, as a head coach, are you not at least going to fucking challenge the spot on that?
Couldn't.
Because the spot.
You can't.
Couldn't.
Yeah, you can.
It was under 2 minutes.
Yeah, there was like what?
I thought you can.
Like
you can challenge any play.
Absolutely not. Under 2 minutes,
you can't challenge.
There's no coach's challenge. None. It has to come from the booth.
But everything's
reviewable, but it has to come from upstairs. There's no coach's challenges in the last.
That should have been reviewed regardless because it was so close to the goal line.
The two controversial things here were the Kirk Cousins one.
So you can't throw a red flag on that.
No, it was under
Cousins
2 minutes.
Was down on that
and
too.
He was down on that, and the Gabe Davis catch, which they showed it 18 different times, and we weren't.
And this is why I say every play, regardless of clock, regardless of time, should be reviewed.
Well,
those are by New York,
play,
but not.
I don't give a fuck. Every play should be reviewable. You want to get it right? Every play should be reviewable.
That's supposed. Again, it was in 2 minutes. It's got to come from the booth.
You get what I'm saying, though.
Yes. The thing is,
but they wouldn't have gotten anything out of it.
That fell on the refs because Buffalo hustled to the line and got that snap off under 15 seconds.
Yeah,
which was alarmingly fast. And that's the refs.
You know, they're supposed to give the defense time to sub and everything else, too. Yeah. That wasn't happening.
No, it was a normal hurry-up situation, and they did it. They executed it perfectly to put themselves in that position. Because realistically, they shouldn't have been, because that Gabe Davis catch was not a catch. It wasn't.
I agree.
Ball was dragging on the ground as he was out of bounds. That was not a catch.
Correct.
Again, that's neither here
nor
nor there.
Ball did touch the ground.
Because I disagree with the catch rule as it is, but that was not a catch. But I'll say this, Kirk Cousins in the fourth quarter of that game gutted it the fuck out. And
they won. God bless them.
It was a beautiful win. So now they're right there under Philadelphia for second place. And Buffalo's got some issues to sort out here now. I'm willing to admit it finally.
You know, everybody thought at the beginning of the year, myself included, thought that they would be the cream of the crop. I still think Kansas City was the best team in the AFC, but they were right there. Roster-wise, I don't think there's anybody that can match them.
I don't think Buffalo is not the cream of the crop. I will say, as it stands at this moment, I'd put Kansas City above them.
Yes. Miami possibly above them.
I would not put Miami. Miami is not as good as Buffalo. Realistically,
they beat Buffalo.
Yeah,
that's great.
That's
it was
all
a
I'm going to
division
say.
game.
They beat Buffalo.
So are the Bears better than the Lions?
No.
Okay,
I think the Lions are better than the Bears.
Huh?
You just asked me if the Lions were better than the Bears. Bears better than the Lions.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they are.
Oh, okay.
As a team, I don't think they're better than the Lions.
Justin Fields may be better than the Lions, but that's about
No, I just don't think that they're better than the Lions.
Well,
team-wise, talent-wise, you go up and down the roster, Detroit's better.
Oh,
Their offensive
absolutely.
line's better.
Absolutely.
They got better players than the fucking Bears do.
Are you high?
The only thing that saved the Bears yesterday
don't think
was
that
Justin Fields.
Detroit's offensive line is better than Chicago's?
Yeah, I do.
Absolutely, they're fucking better.
Outside of that, what else?
Go down the line, receiving core.
Absolutely.
I think the Lions have better fucking receivers than
and
Chicago
they don't
does.
even have any big guys. It's all short dudes.
Who? Amon-Ra St. Brown is better than anybody on Chicago's team.
Okay.
He's better than Darnell Mooney.
Tom Kennedy
better
should be
than fucking
targeted
Chase
more.
Claypool.
Tom Kennedy's not better than anybody they have. The Chicago St. Brown is better than any of the number twos they have. Darnell Mooney is better than any of outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown.
We haven't even seen the vast majority of the Lions receivers.
Well, yeah, so guess what? They are better.
Shark will be coming back as off IR.
Jesus Christ.
I still think he's better than any of those guys on fucking Chicago.
We have a rookie who hasn't touched the field who's probably better.
Chicago has a better running game.
I would say
Chicago has a better secondary.
I don't know about that. I'd put fucking Williams up against Herbert?
Yeah.
I would.
Well,
Khalil
Williams is
Herbert?
our number one.
I would put him up against him.
Williams is our number one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. And I'd put Swift up against
I would take
Montgomery.
Listen to me.
I'd put Swift up against Montgomery.
Absolutely.
I think Swift is good, if not better than he is.
Well,
He just can't stay healthy, but, you know.
where did all of this love come from? All of a
I'm
sudden?
just saying, I think
You're comparing it to
Detroit,
the Bears.
roster-wise, has a better team than Chicago. I'm just trying to be honest.
You have
Tell me the truth. Outside the last 2 games, do you think Justin Fields was going to be better than Jared Goff this year?
no,
Thank you.
but he is. So it's
Well, he is
irrelevant.
now.
No. Can he throw the ball better than Jared Goff?
No,
Absolutely not.
I don't think so.
Hold the fuck on.
Quarterback, no, he's a good running back.
Let's
He is
go.
not a good
You
quarterback.
guys want to do this? We'll do this. Okay? Guess what? When Lamar Jackson won the MVP, why the fuck did he win it?
Because he's the best.
No, he's not. He's not the best. If you look at it, if Justin Fields,
What do you mean?
if what Justin Fields did the last 2 games, he had been doing since the beginning of the year,
Okay.
and threw for 170 yards a game and had the game on the ground that he's
Yeah, but
been
Lamar
having,
Jackson did
he'd
that
win
for a
the
fucking
MVP.
entire season, not for
And guess
fucking
what?
2
If
games.
Justin Fields, if the Bears somehow find a way to win 3 or 4 more games, and Justin
Okay.
Fields continues to play that way, he's an MVP candidate.
So goes your team.
Huh?
So goes your team.
What do you mean, so goes your team?
Well, you got to understand something. Lamar Jackson put fucking the Ravens in the playoffs. They went to fucking Super Bowl. They went to playoffs.
Listen to me. If the Bears finish this year with 6 wins, and Justin Fields does what he has done in the last 2 games, he is in the MVP talk.
Okay.
Period.
So you're telling me Jalen Hurts is the best player in the NFL right now?
Yes.
Okay. Best quarterback in the NFL right now. He's the MVP.
For today.
What does that mean for
today?
For today. He's
For
the
today.
best. I already said that. He should be in consideration for the MVP.
Yes, he should be in consideration for the MVP.
Yes, absolutely.
Right now, if you ask me today,
If you had a choice between 2 quarterbacks, between Justin Fields and Jalen Hurts, who would you take?
Jalen Hurts,
Why?
because he's better.
Okay. Why is he better?
Because his team is playing
Because he
better.
can actually throw a fucking football.
And he is a better thrower than Justin Fields.
Hey, anybody could do what Justin Fields is doing. Run around
not
back
Jared-
there.
not Jared
Run
Goff.
Hold on.
Not Jared
Run around
Goff.
back there. Get a fucking receiver going downfield open. Cole Kmet twice with no player on him. Anybody could complete that fucking pass. Jared Goff could complete
We
that
might as
pass.
well go into the Lions game since we're already talking.
We are. We're in the
are.
Lions
Okay, we're
game.
in the
Okay.
Lions
We're in the game.
At
We're in
the
the
end
game
of the
right
day,
now.
quarterbacks.
And at what point
Here we
did
go.
the Detroit defense finally fucking step up?
Bullshit. I don't want to hear that.
Absolutely.
I don't
Absolutely.
want to fucking hear about the Detroit defense stepping up. Okay? Guess what? You have the highest paid. We're going to do this again. You have the highest paid offensive line in football, the most expensive one ever. And as a team, you average 3.5 yards per carry. Okay? That's awful. That's awful.
Okay.
Your touted best player on the team gets 6 carries for 6 yards. That's awful. That's
Okay.
fucking awful. I am sorry.
I thought we were talking about defense.
No, we're talking offensively.
Well, I thought we were talking about defense too.
What? Do you want to talk about
I
the
said their
Lions
defense finally
defense.
stepped up.
What?
When they needed to step up,
Why are we
stepped up.
talking
Stepped up.
about the fact that they allowed 30 points to the Chicago Bears as stepping up? And then in the third quarter, when it was a 24-10 game, it was 10-10 at the
He's
half.
more or less talking about the rookies that are on the team that are stepping up, not Alex Anzalone, who should have been spying
I'm seeing
Justin Fields.
I'm seeing the young guys on this team improve.
I will say, if Malcolm Rodriguez played yesterday, I don't think Justin Fields would have as much of
Justin
a game
Fields
as he did.
ripped off that big run because Alex Anzalone
He's awful.
Well, that was
fucking
Big
awful.
Brother.
blew
that was,
the play.
That was
Awful.
Big Brother versus Little Brother. Jeff Okuda had that interception, run back for a touchdown.
No,
What did
it
Justin Fields
was-
do.
Listen to
came
me.
out.
Listen
and
to me.
fucking did it.
Fields would have never done that if a real linebacker was
If
fucking
Malcolm
in there.
Rodriguez
shit.
played, Justin Fields, don't get me wrong, I don't think Malcolm Rodriguez would have put him down, but he would not have had as good of a game as he did.
And
The putting down the quarterback thing right now, I'm going to tell you what it is. These guys are so afraid to hit these quarterbacks.
Stop.
They
It's
are,
the fucking
dude. They
truth,
are.
dude.
They
They're
are.
so
Come on.
afraid to hit these guys to get a penalty they're just trying to wrap him.
Guess what?
Instead of hitting him.
There's not one referee in the game that having 400 plus yards of rushing in the last 3 games that's going to sit there and protect Justin Fields. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen.
It happens.
If Jared Goff goes for a 6-yard
when you see
run,
Pat Mahomes all cute running toward the sidelines, holding the ball out past the line because he knows he's not going to get touched.
You're goddamn right.
Because if you touch him,
1,000%.
there's the flag.
But we can't sit here and say that Justin Fields is getting the respect that Patrick Mahomes does.
I absolutely think so. Absolutely.
Oh my God, you're high.
Any of these guys?
What happened? Why not Josh Allen yesterday?
Josh Allen gets the calls.
When? I missed him yesterday. I watched him get depleted twice with no call.
He was doing that himself.
But
he was the one initiating the contact.
If you're going to be the runner, then you're not going to get the call.
Correct.
You're not going to get the call. And I think in the last 2 weeks,
you're going to get the call.
In the last 2 weeks, they've done a much better job of that.
The last play of the game when Justin Fields missed 5 tackles, 4 or 5. Like, one of those, all it had to take was one of those guys to just fucking lead into him and fucking hit him and take him down. But they're scared to hit the guy.
He is a runner.
He was still in the backfield. He was in the
pocket. These guys are so afraid to lay wood to these guys because they're afraid of the penalty.
Who on the Lions defense is really laying wood? I mean, you're sitting here talking about it like it's the fucking 2000s Ravens, and they're all so scared to do some damage.
We aren't the biggest fans of Aiden Hutchinson, but he stepped up big time yesterday and made plays that needed.
Well, he actually looked like an NFL defensive end.
Thank you.
Finally.
Correct.
Looked like an NFL defensive end yesterday.
He had 8 tackles and a sack.
Correct.
Best game of his career so far.
But he's also leading rookies right now.
Yeah, he ran down. That doesn't mean anything. That bullshit stat that they're talking about with the rookie stuff is garbage.
Well, no shit.
It's garbage.
Throwing it out
I wouldn't believe any of that. All right, so here he is, unblocked at the goal line, runs down the fucking line of scrimmage and tackles Montgomery in a
5-yard line.
out of position tackle for a loss.
All right, but
that's an NFL tackle. If you can't do that play unblocked,
being able to
you have no business
and
to be there.
Justin Fields on that interception play. Just keep him back there. Don't rush him.
Don't rush him.
Yeah.
No, he did the right thing by having himself under control, going toward him. You still need to bring the guy down. Period.
So, again, what's as a unit? What's the best unit on this team?
Their offensive line.
Okay, the offensive line allowed 2 sacks on Jared Goff yesterday, and
they have
the running backs averaged. Williams 3.7 yards per carry. Justin Jackson 3.5, DeAndre Swift 1. Okay, so let's be real here. The offensive line didn't have a fabulous game.
They haven't been playing.
Jared Goff, with his 114 QBR, he only had to throw the ball 26 times. 19 of them were completions, 236 yards, got his touchdown.
Yeah, that's where
and got bailed out of
perfect.
Bailed out of an interception because of illegal hands to the face. Just point that out.
Well, no, it's not. If there's a penalty on it, it's not a fucking bailout.
It's a bailout.
It's not a bailout. You sit here and you want to tout their fucking defense, which allowed 30 points to the Chicago Bears and doesn't know how to contain a quarterback. But you're going to sit here and talk about Jared Goff's lackluster performance with a 1.
It wasn't a lack. That was the perfect performance for him.
What do you mean he did the same thing to Dallas?
Or close to the same thing to Dallas.
Who?
His performance was.
Guess what? That doesn't mean Dallas played well because Dallas got shellacked by the same team you beat last week.
Yeah.
Awful.
It wasn't much of a shellacking.
And I'll tell you what, Aaron Jones, for a guy who went out with an ankle injury and never fucking stepped back on the field over here, that ankle looked pretty goddamn good to me. Am I wrong on that?
Overall, but I want to wrap this up and then we'll move on. Overall, and I will stand by this till I die. Jared Goff played extremely well. The rest of the Lions unit, Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown
played very well.
Great combo. Beautiful. The rest of the team played like shit. Point blank, period. You can't stop a fucking quarterback running the ball. You don't have anybody that can cover a tight end. Nobody knows how to spy the quarterback. And Darnell Mooney was 4 for 4. So if Justin Fields would have thrown the ball more than 12 times, but he didn't have to because he ran for 150 yards because you can't stop him. So at the end of the day, again, this is another week.
He stopped himself. And let me tell you something about that, too. How many fucking carries did he have?
13 for 147.
He had 13 fucking carries. Let me tell you something. My man was shot.
And he got sacked three times.
He was getting
so
fucked up.
tired.
Yeah. He was getting fucked up.
But
so
you guys
tired.
both just sat here and said, nobody's afraid to hit him, and he's not
No,
going to
he
call.
was
No, when he was
tired.
on the run, when he was running the
tired
ball,
as shit.
He got shellacked in that game.
He was getting tackled. Unlike the cute guy.
You
want
to bitch
City.
about something?
He was getting tackled.
Let's move on to the Sunday night game, and we'll go back up.
Game?
You want to throw a fit about something? And God knows you might have been watching Barbarians and missed it. But the Dre Greenlaw ejection. You want to talk about bullshit?
I think that was absolutely
bullshit.
absurd.
Correct. That was bullshit.
Absurd that a player can make a helmet-to-helmet contact
on a guy
incidental.
The guy was
and then get fucking
down.
kicked out of a game.
That was
this
awful.
needs to stop.
That was awful.
This needs to stop. The NFL better take a fucking look at it. Because it's wrong.
Listen, they're not going to do anything.
Wrong.
We
it's
stand
wrong.
up as fans and make
It's
them.
fucking wrong.
Let's discuss this game because I was watching it and I watched the first drive of the game for the Chargers, and I own Austin Eckler, I own DeAndre Carter, and I own Gerald Everett, and I watched Austin Eckler run for I believe he had
6 carries for 24 yards.
Yeah, on the first.
What the fuck?
He had 16 yards on the first drive of the game.
Right. What happened?
And then I watched Gerald Everett pulled in a 17-yard reception. And then I watched a beautiful 33-yard touchdown pass to DeAndre Carter. On the first drive of the game, those were the first 4 plays. And then after that, something woke up.
What happened?
Justin Herbert looked clueless.
What the fuck happened?
Austin Eckler forgot how to run the football. And ultimately, I will say this. Out of every team I saw yesterday, now you want to talk about balance. You want to talk about well-rounded. You want to talk about everything. And this is with Deebo Samuel still not 100%.
Not 100%.
Because I watched him yesterday. He did not have any of the gas. And you know what? Kittle looked pretty banged up too. San Francisco.
They had the ball for almost 17 minutes more.
San
17
Francisco,
minutes. That's a quarter and a fucking piece more.
They didn't have to use McCaffrey to the ground.
Yeah.
He split carries.
Yeah.
San Francisco is the most balanced team in the NFL. And Jimmy Garoppolo
387 total fucking yards. 230 on the air, 157 on the ground.
He doesn't make mistakes.
That's perfect.
And you want to know what? Even though this game was close and they were down, after the first quarter, you got out of the first quarter, especially after the half, you were watching both these teams play, and even it was 16-16 at one point.
Correct.
There was no doubt in your mind San Francisco was winning that game. They had complete control of the game, and they ran the ball until the depleted Chargers defense physically could not keep up anymore, and then they just wasted the clock away. And they didn't give them a chance. And their defense got 3 and out after
Shanahan.
It's monotonous.
Method.
Yes.
Method to madness.
You just
he will
drain the
make
life
you
out of them.
absolutely nuts.
Yep. And he did. Yes. And it was perfect. And I'll tell you what, with the tandem of you can throw in your
Elijah Mitchell.
You could throw in your absolute beauty queen of Christian McCaffrey and then toss your battering ram of Elijah Mitchell out there and then give a handoff or two to Deebo Samuel.
And Ayuk.
And then you could throw to McCaffrey and it's fucked up. But right now, as it stands today, I think San Francisco looks, if you want, you can argue Philly. I think San Francisco looks the most playoff-ready team out of the league at 5-4. I'm sorry. What I saw out of them last night, there's not too many defenses, number one.
It's not the team that showed up in Chicago first game of the year.
There's not too many defenses.
They're not the same team.
And not too many teams that can hold up.
Trey Lance. To
take the blows that, and you know what? I'm sorry. Going back to Trey Lance. They can tout Trey Lance all they want. Jimmy Garoppolo is the picture. If you drew up a quarterback, molded one, to play this offense, he's perfect. He doesn't make mistakes. He doesn't take huge long shots down the field.
Doesn't have to take risk.
Does not have to take risk.
Plays within
doesn't
the
want to
system.
run the ball. Just sit in the pocket. One of the 5 weapons you have will be open. And if not, hand the ball off 40 times a game.
Yeah.
And you'll win because your defense will stop
That's old school football.
literally anybody.
That's old school football.
There has not been a defense this year that has been able to contain Austin Eckler.
Yeah.
Granted, the Chargers' defense is decimated. The Chargers as a team is decimated.
Well,
but
guess what?
nobody has been able to stop
San Francisco did it.
San Francisco did it with ease.
Yeah.
With ease.
Pretty easy.
Yep. And you saw it. You saw it from everybody on the 49ers. There was never a doubt they were going to win that game. Never.
The Chargers' offensive line is absolutely gassed.
Chargers offensive
They have
line,
no receivers outside.
Chargers
Their
are done.
2 best receivers are out.
Put an X through them. Their offensive line's decimated with injury. They had 3 healthy defensive
Are you
linemen.
giving
last
Kansas City the division right
Yes,
now?
I am giving Kansas City the division. They had
Okay.
3. No, this is no bullshit.
Yeah.
3 healthy defensive linemen. They had to rush 3.
Yeah.
That's all they had. So they're decimated with injuries. And you know what? Inevitably, at some point, Justin Herbert is going to get hurt. Like I'm watching.
He's already hurt.
He's going. At some point, you got to shut this guy down. I mean, they said he's got bruised ribs. He's got a messed up shoulder. He's got. I mean,
Well, obviously, he's the quarterback. He does not want to sit.
No.
That's not going to happen.
no, and he's not going to. And I commend him for it.
And they'll
but
tough it out, and they'll win a few more games, and
fuck,
you know,
it's rough.
they might make it into the playoffs. You know,
It's rough.
we'll see.
I don't think. Honest to God, if you ask me right now, if the Chargers are making the playoffs, they're just due to injury. They're just not. They don't have enough ammo to make it in there. And I mean, there's 2.
Well, now with the AFC East, having
Correct.
all
I
the
mean,
wins that they have.
we talked.
I'm
about,
talking about every team in that.
You
division.
might have 3 teams out of that division in it, meaning Buffalo, the Jets, and Miami, because there's no chance New England is. But
Anyway, and division games coming up are huge.
those were the big ones I wanted to discuss. Let's move on to the German game. And I will say this. The most shocking thing out of this game for me was that you had 70,000 Germans in a stadium who knew every word to Country Roads by John Denver.
Okay.
I was absolutely blown away. They sat there and sang Sweet Caroline without missing a beat. They sung Country Roads by John Denver without missing a beat. And it's like a fucking party. They all have their pitchers of beer because they don't sell
This is
pints.
what happens when you have a real fan base.
They have pitchers. And they didn't leave when the game was over.
No.
Game's over.
Listen,
Everybody's still sitting there
this
fucking
is an
drinking.
event for them. They don't have a fucking game there every week like we do.
Yeah, it's
Right? I mean,
This is
it
an
was,
event for them.
true.
it was fun to watch.
And guess
say
what?
that.
Guess what? You're just all this is a glimpse of what the future is going to be with the NFL. You understand this? There will be there
have
will
a
be a
5
team in that city, in that country. There will be a team in England.
You know how
there
many
will be a
fans
team
you
in
lose
Mexico. They want to go international.
They have a 5-year deal with Germany, and I think,
They want to go international.
But let's talk about the actual game now.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to be real with you here. I don't think Geno Smith had a better game than what I expected him to have. He went for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 3 times. QBR 115 against a very, very good Tampa defense. Against the Tampa defense that we have not seen since week 2. For the first time in a couple of months, I saw a Buccaneers defense yesterday that was healthy, that was playing fast, that was able to cover their receivers. All of their run stoppers played very well. I mean, they've handled Kenneth Walker better than anybody else has this year. Kenneth Walker
That's
had 10 rushes for 17 yards. That's the run defense you expect to see from all of the ammo that they have up front. The Buccaneers linebacking core looked fabulous yesterday. I'm sorry. You sit here and call me.
Devin White was
Devin White looked awesome. Levante David looked good.
Levante David's always good.
They played, that defense yesterday played as a perfectly cohesive unit. And I'll say this, outside of that awesome Goodwin touchdown when the game was kind of getting towards out of reach, they held up very, very well against an offense that's better than we expected.
The key of the game was simple. Tampa Bay running the football. This is something that they haven't done from week one.
No, they have not. They have not ran the ball well at all.
They did.
This was
they
the
did
first
in
game.
Germany.
And I'll tell you what, I don't know if it was Brian Leftwich. I don't know if it was Todd Bowles. Whoever the fuck called the let's get cute, direct snap to Fournette, throw the ball back to Brady play should be fucking fired. Period. That was one of the best drives you've had.
Leftwich.
That was one of the best drives you have had all year. You were guaranteed to come out of it with points.
Seattle.
Brady said if he didn't.
Seattle did that play last week.
I'm aware.
Seattle did that play last week. I think it was a little dig in Seattle saying, "Hey, we're gonna fucking do this too."
Yeah. Guess what?
It was done last week.
It was awful.
Seattle did it
awful.
with.
Stop.
Yes.
Stop. Guess what? You're one game above 500. You're a pubic hair away
That
from
game.
losing
This game is actually kind of disgusting because it should have been a blowout.
It should have been. The doors should have been blown off of this. And that's why I was pissed about that play. Because they had so much fucking momentum on that drive. It would have been 7 points, no questions asked, and they did some bullshit like that. And that pissed me off. Because
it allowed a touchdown late that they shouldn't have got.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. This game should have been your... This game should have been your exclamation point 28-7 or 28-10 game. That gave you the momentum going forward.
Lockett made a really beautiful catch.
I'll give Lockett
in the corner.
absolutely.
My God, that guy is still money.
And I'll tell you what, Godwin, first game I've seen him all year, look crisp. He looked crisp. Still slow.
Chris Godwin?
Still slow.
You could see he's still not himself.
He's still slow, but he looked crisper than he has the rest of the year.
He's getting back to where he needs to be.
Julio did exactly what he needed to do. Out of a number 3 for Tom Brady, he got 3 catches, 53 yards, tud. Perfect. And Mike Evans was blanketed the whole game.
They rolled
all their coverage.
3 guys on him on every play.
But overall, I can take a very, very, very deep breath because Rachaad fucking White is the saving grace for this team right now.
Looking like it.
Leonard Fournette's still the guy.
Bullshit. Leonard Fournette's still the guy. If somehow this gets in Leftwich's ear, Fournette's your third down guy and the guy you give the ball to in the red zone. To get down the field, use Rachaad White. Because it will pay the fuck off. And Fournette's hurt now. He's got a bad hip.
He got a little hip injury.
Let's go. I want to see.
Fournette's still your bell cow.
Rachaad White got 8 more carries yesterday. And I want to see it. I want to see
because Fournette is nursing this hip.
I want to see Rachaad White get 25 carries a game. And tell me if this offense doesn't look better. I can take a sigh of relief. They ran the ball well. They averaged almost 5 yards per carry. And the defense looked good.
We'll see.
And the Seahawks, I'm not going to say are what I thought they were. Because even with this loss and them coming back down to earth a little bit, like I projected, they still are a little bit better than I thought.
They are. They
play
good defense and they run the football.
If you take away the run, they ain't shit.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell.
You take away Kenneth Walker, you took their whole team away.
Correct. Next up, here we go again with the Denver fucking Broncos. 10-7 at the half, and they got fucking absolutely. They played it perfect. They stopped Derrick Henry. He had 19 rushes for 53 yards. He averaged 2.8 yards per carry. They had the stop in on him. They had this game fucking won. Okay? You couldn't run the ball. Latavius Murray, 9 rushes, 24 yards. Melvin Gordon, 7 for 24. And then you had Chase Edmonds, 2 rushes for 9 yards. I mean, you couldn't run the fucking ball. Somehow, you came up with the perfect defensive plan. The perfect defensive plan to stop Derrick Henry. You stopped him. And you let
19 carries for 53 yards. When have you ever seen that?
Never. If Derrick Henry runs less than 3 yards per carry, it's divine intervention or injury. That's it.
Yeah.
And you let Ryan Tannehill and Nick Westbrook-Akini or whatever the fuck his name is beat you. Come the fuck on. Nathaniel Hackett needs to fucking lose his job. I am sorry. I have seen enough. I have fucking seen enough.
I mean, Russell Wilson was sacked 6 times.
Come on, man. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You stop Derrick Henry. Your offensive line is so abysmal. You can't run the fucking ball. And you get Russell Wilson near killed. And
Yeah, he was running
somehow,
for his life.
somehow, you still are in the lead. You had the fucking game. And you let it slip away. You let it slip away.
Well, they were on a road with a tough place to play against a tough team. For them to even be in contention in that game was impressive.
Your offense cannot completely shut down in the second half.
Well, they lost Judy.
Yeah, Jerry Judy's hurt now.
And I'm sure, looks like to me he's done for the year. I'm not sure on that or not, but that did not look good.
No, it did not. They had MRIs going today, so we'll keep you updated.
And he's their biggest weapon
in the fantasy show. Sutton had a nice game yesterday, though. I can't knock him for that. Next up, I picked the Jaguars in this game, and you want to know something? I watched it, and you sit there and fucking laugh. But I will tell you what,
I don't.
Jacksonville, I am telling you. Next year, okay,
they are going to be a team to contend with.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
They've got pieces, man. And Trevor Lawrence, I'm sorry, Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. He got sacked 5 times, and he still had a QBR of 106, 259 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Penalties destroyed him.
Penalties
5
destroyed
penalties.
this game.
Yeah, that's the story of the game. The Chiefs did not have 1 penalty.
That's hard to believe. But, I mean, they couldn't really get ETN going. 11 carries, 45 yards. Christian Kirk, again, another great game. 9 receptions, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. And I'll tell you what, they're so close, man. I love this Jacksonville team going into the year. I didn't love Tennessee. And there was a part, this game, it wasn't won outright by the Chiefs the whole time. There's always that.
No, they turned the ball over 3 times.
Yes, and you're sitting there watching it, and at one point, it was, at one point, Jacksonville
It didn't get out of hand till the end.
It didn't get out of hand till, I thought
and
Jacksonville
you know what?
really
I'm going
had
to
a
tell you
chance
what saved Kansas City in this game. Pacheco.
Yeah,
He was running hard. He had 16 carries for 82 yards. He was balling.
he had a fumble as well.
was balling.
but I'll tell you this much: Kansas City right now, Kansas City looks dominant, but
they can't do this in the playoffs though. You can't turn the ball over 3 times.
Well, you want to know what?
Really good team.
My next point here was going to be Kansas City plays more so than anybody else. I think Kansas City plays to their opponent.
They play to the level of their
right.
Absolutely.
I mean, when they come out against Buffalo or Baltimore or fucking,
yeah, they ain't gonna be able to do
put
that
on a
against
show,
different team,
and then they got to deal with little old Jacksonville, and they kind of rein it in a little bit. But overall, I mean, Valdez-Scantling with a touchdown, Kadarius Toney with 57 yards at a touchdown, Kelsey did his thing, and like you said, Pacheco ran the ball very well.
Smith-Schuster went out. He's probably going to be out a while.
Edwards-Helaire did not get a carry yesterday.
I think they've kind of closed the door with that.
I think that one's over with.
But I think you might see him pop in and out, have a good game here or there, maybe to keep Pacheco fresh for
healthy
the playoffs.
Well, McKinnon's getting those number 2 reps.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that.
I mean, I think that they just trust. I think they trust Pacheco now. And realistically, they're a team that doesn't have to run the ball more than 20 times a game.
Yeah.
I mean, so, but yeah, I think right now, and I want to talk about this before we end today's show, but Kansas City is starting to establish.
They're starting to separate themselves from everybody else.
Agree.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns and Miami Dolphins. And this one wasn't really much of a game.
It was a game early, late. It got ugly late.
It was the Tua Tagovailoa show again.
Yeah, it got ugly basically after that. The third quarter was over. It was done.
So a couple takeaways from this game. One, and judge me all you want, Tua is an MVP candidate in my eyes. Absolutely.
Okay.
25 for 32, 285, 3 touchdowns, no picks, was not sacked. QBR, the highest on the week, 135.
That's pretty efficient.
That is absolutely fucking money. And
Talk about a two-headed horse, man.
Tyreek Hill,
Had almost 200 yards on the ground.
Tyreek Hill was a little quiet yesterday.
Yeah.
Five receptions, 44 yards at a tud. Waddle, 4 receptions, 66 yards. And I'll tell you this much: Tua is spreading the ball around fabulously. Obviously, we know Tyreek Hill leads the league in yardage. Jalen Waddle's right up there with him. But yesterday, it was a perfect spread. I mean, yeah, Jeff Wilson Jr. has established himself as the number one. He came in the trade from San Francisco, and it was established that he, going forward, is going to be the number one guy. Now, don't get me wrong, Mostert had a very, very good game yesterday.
He catches the ball really well. Mostert.
Yes, Mostert
So
does.
I think they're complementing each other
They
very
are.
well.
But as far as carries go, I mean, Wilson had 17, Mostert had 8. I think you're going to see that number continue to get a little wider as things go forward here. They both had a touchdown yesterday. And you can't, there was not one thing this Miami offense did wrong yesterday. It was a perfect game. They ran the ball well. They threw the ball well. Everybody got involved.
The defense played well.
You can't ask for anything more than
Chubb
that.
had a sack. Their defense, they were putting a lot of pressure on Jacoby Brissett.
Well, that's because Jacoby Brissett's not that good of a quarterback. And
you'll find out.
Well,
Sean Watson isn't either.
Here's the thing.
Sean Watson was activated.
They got down early, the Cleveland did, and they weren't able to utilize Nick Chubb the way they normally do.
See, that's bullshit. That's bad coaching. That is bad coaching.
They
Because
got
it does
down
not
early.
matter. It doesn't matter.
I
don't
would
care
continue getting the ball.
Correct.
I wouldn't give a shit if I was down by 3
40
touchdowns.
fucking points.
I'd still be
when
fucking
you have
handing
Nick
the ball.
Chubb.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb should not be getting 11 carries, people.
Right.
Holy fuck. He got 11 carries, still went for 63 yards at 6 yards per carry, and a touchdown.
Right.
And his first fumble in fucking, 2 years?
Something like that.
I mean, come on. He was the only bright spot you had outside of Donovan Peoples fucking Jones. I mean, granted, this experiment's pretty much over now, right?
Well, I don't think we're going to see Deshaun Watson.
I do.
You do?
Oh, yeah. They have a new toy. Come on.
You don't think that
It's just activated, man.
they'll just
He's practicing this week.
Oh, he is practicing.
Practicing this week.
Okay. Maybe
So
I'm
that's
wrong.
it. Thank God you can drop Jacoby.
But doesn't he have a suspension to go through too?
He's done. It's week 11.
No, doesn't he have more now? I thought there was some other
No.
shit that came out.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Week 11. He's
Okay.
good to go.
Good for him.
So, the Jacoby Brissett experiments.
Talk about rust.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Guy hasn't played in 2
2
years.
years. Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck.
Next up, the Houston Texans and New York Giants. I mean, this one's a pretty easy one to figure out, as most Houston Texans games are. But for the Giants, Saquon Barkley ran the ball 35 times
Love that.
for 152 yards and a touchdown,
Love it.
which meant Daniel fucking Limp Dick Jones only had to throw the ball 17 times for 197 yards, two touchdowns, sacked 3 times.
Did you see the Slayton catch?
I did
Down
see
the sideline. I was like,
I did.
holy shit. Every time we's like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
He scores a big play.
I know.
Every time.
Darius Slayton, 3 receptions, 95 yards. One was a 54-yard tud. I
Keep talking shit about him.
I'm gonna keep talking shit about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep talking shit. It was the Houston Texans. It was the Houston fucking Texans. So
Well, I mean, what destroyed them was the turnovers.
yes,
The
I mean,
turnovers, they turned the ball over twice.
hold on. Let's
Davis Mills was sacked 4 times.
right. He threw a pick. But let's talk about this.
Threw for 319 yards, though.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bruce. The New York Giants secondary allowed 319 yards to Davis Mills, Jordan Atkins, Nico Collins, and whoever the fuck Chris Moore is. So let's not, again, I'm going to talk shit about the Giants because their defense ain't that great because they can't, I mean, if Davis Mills going off for 300 against you, you got a fucking issue. If your Jordan Atkins is going for 3 for 72, I mean, he spread the ball around great. Nico Collins had 5 for 49 and a touchdown. Everybody got involved. Brendan Cooks had 4 catches.
And a run.
Damian Pierce had 17 rushes for 94 yards. He averaged almost 6 yards per carry. So,
They let up almost 400 yards.
yes. So I'm not ready to tout this. At the end of the day, when you have a running back who's running 70 yards down the field every fucking drive, and all Daniel Jones has to do is throw 3 times a drive, it makes it very easy. And then your defense essentially, like, let's stop and think about this. If you didn't have all the mistakes that Houston made, the pick, the fumbles, they had 2 fumbles lost and a pick. If you don't have that, you don't have 7 penalties. I mean, if this is a decent team, we're not talking about this. But the Houston Texans continue to mistake their way out of games. So, God bless them, but I'm still not completely sold on the New York Giants. It is Saquon Barkley and everybody else.
Yeah.
And a couple receivers that you've never heard of getting a
say
couple
what you want to
big passes
say.
a game.
I think Dabo's done a great job over there, getting these guys ready to play with a. I
Can I ask you a question?
I don't even know what to say.
Can I ask you a question? I want you to be brutally honest.
Yeah.
When inevitably between now and the end of the year, Saquon Barkley goes down with an injury, God forbid, but it's going to happen.
Okay.
How many games do they win?
If Barkley goes down, I would say it's hard pressed to see them win another game this year.
Okay. Sitting enough.
If he goes down.
If he goes down. Next up, somehow the Pittsburgh Steelers pulled out a W against the New Orleans Saints.
Kenny Pickett.
Kenny
Pickett, baby.
The worst stat line in fucking football right now. 18 of 30 for 199 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions.
Sacked 6 times for a QBR of 79.
My God.
Baby.
You talk about a guy that took a fucking beating. He took one yesterday bad.
20 rushes, 99 yards, no tud. And he fumbled once.
Hey, at least he woke up,
50,
ran for almost 100 yards.
I mean,
Deontay Johnson, 4 catches, 63 yards. I mean, I don't even know what to say right now. The only rushing touchdown was George Pickens. Had a rushing touchdown.
And Kenny Pickett.
Like, let's be real here, okay? Yeah, Pickett had a rushing touchdown. Pickens had a rushing touchdown. There were no receiving touchdowns. I mean, at the end of the day,
Kenny Pickett's got to throw the football. At the end of the day, they need to protect him.
Okay, this was a New Orleans issue
because he got up
more
limping.
So
they almost had to bring in Mitch Trubisky.
Oh Jesus! God. Like, okay, here you go. Alvin Kamara 8 rushes for 26 yards.
Unable to run the ball.
Andy Dalton 17 completions for 174 with 2 picks, 2 sacks. QBR of 62.
Yeah, that's
okay.
He was bloody yesterday.
I mean, yeah, because they had to bring in fucking Taysom Hill at quarterback. He came in and rifled one ball at the ground. Listen, at the end of the day, this was a complete fall apart on the Saints' part. I mean, it was probably one of the more awful offensive performances I've watched this year. It reminded me of the Bears the first 3 weeks.
Okay.
It was fucking awful.
Yeah, it was looking pretty bad.
And they're already talking about how that could have been Andy Dalton's swan song. That could have been Andy Dalton's swan song. We might get Jay.
Well, I think Winston's ready to come back now.
Well, he has been.
Yeah, but they've been winning.
Right. And
up until now.
That was
I would have to say this
Yeah.
this is probably goodbye for Andy Dalton.
That was awful.
Until Jameis Winston gets hurt again.
Next up in one of your favorite coaches, first game back in his old stadium.
Can't stand this guy.
Mike McCarthy took an L to Aaron Rodgers, and the Cowboys lost 28-31 against the Green Bay Packers at Lambeau.
The vaunted great quarterback Dak Prescott.
Hey, Tony Pollard had a nice little
All right,
game.
let's before we go too deep into this Dak thing here. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to say,
when are you gonna wake up? Did you see this guy? Did you see the balls he was throwing? You want to talk about fucking garbage? My God, he looked like Malik Willis out there. One ball was good, the next 4 were awful. Awful. He's horrible. And Mike McCarthy's a douche. He's a fucking douche.
46 attempts.
I am so glad. You know what I would have loved to seen? Aaron Rodgers just fire the ball at his fucking head. And I'm not even an Aaron Rodgers guy. And I'll tell you what. You don't think there's turmoil in Green Bay when Aaron Rodgers comes off the field and basically told his head coach to go fuck himself?
Okay.
I mean, at what point?
Hold on. Do you know how little fucking sense that made? Do you know how little? That was the worst play call of the day. That was by leaps and bounds the worst play call of the day.
I think that's why he came to the sidelines and absolutely
Matt
lost his
LaFleur
shit.
deserved for Aaron Rodgers to tell him to go fuck himself.
Yes.
You have a running back in Aaron Jones who's averaging 6 yards per fucking carry.
My ankle versus the Detroit Lions.
He's averaging
that
6
ankle
yards
looked
per carry.
pretty good.
A.J. Dillon, 13 for 65, 5 yards per carry. And on 4th and 1, you're going to throw it? Run the damn ball.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
do?
Come on, man. That was
Christian
all.
Watson.
Come on, man.
Christian Watson
finally
finally
coming
caught
out
a ball.
party. Yes.
He caught a ball.
4 receptions, 104 yards, 3 touchdowns. Sammy Watkins, 3 for 47, the ghost of. Alan Lazard, 3 for 45. He had a big one there at the end. And overall, the Packers' offense looked good for the first time all year.
All year.
All year.
And I can't wait to see
baby.
I can't wait to see the rematch of Detroit and Green Bay.
After
I cannot wait to
January
see it.
8th at Lambeau.
After
I can't
Rodgers
wait to
came
see
out
it.
earlier in the week and said, I'm going to be in that fucking huddle, and if you want to fucking play, then you meet me out there. Otherwise, stay your bitch ass on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
I told you he wasn't taking this shit anymore.
He wasn't taking it. And I'm all in now on Green Bay. That's what I needed to see because when you have guys like Aaron Rodgers, and guess who he gets back this week? Guess who's off injury?
Not the ghost of
The ghost of
Randall Cobb.
baby. He's back. For the Cowboys, this was not good.
It was
this is an issue loss.
This is a, and I'm not going to say that Ezekiel Elliott not playing made a difference in this game.
No, it did.
I'm sorry?
It did. I
don't think it
truly,
made a difference.
No, I do because if you have that two-headed monster of him and Pollard,
That is true. That is true.
If you say let's say instead of they gave Pollard 22 carries. If you take that and you make those other 9 that Mike who is this?
Malik Davis.
Malik Davis had his 5 and Prescott ran the ball 4 times. Let's say Tony Pollard, Ezekiel Elliott combined for 30 carries. You're getting 200 yards on the ground. You're getting 2 touchdowns.
You're getting that physicality.
And you're taking Dak Prescott's attempts from 46 down to like 32, 33.
Yeah.
And you win this game.
I think you could still do that with Davis.
If Dak Prescott has to throw the ball 46
times,
times,
you're going to lose.
You could still split that with Davis if Zeke's not playing. He averaged 7.6 yards.
Yes, he had 38 yards. One was a 17-yard rush. So the issue herein lies. I don't even know who Malik Davis was.
Okay.
He has 61 yards on the year.
Okay.
His only other game, he had 8 rushes against Chicago. This game, Zeke went out.
Ezekiel Elliott brings a physicality to the
Correct.
game that not a lot of teams. You get used to that physicality, then all of a sudden you got Pollard who, he shoots through the fucking hole and he's gone.
But
that's the difference.
Realistically, I mean, Dak Prescott threw this game away.
Well, Dak Prescott is shit. When are we going to stop sugarcoating it? He is the worst fucking. I'm going to tell you something right now. I'd rather have Kenny Pickett than Dak Prescott. I would rather have fucking Malik Willis than Dak Prescott. Yes. I could do more with Malik Willis than I could Dak
You're
Prescott.
getting too cocky now. You're getting too
bullshit.
cocky now.
Bullshit. He's garbage.
Garbage. Before we move on, we need to throw some respect out here. CeeDee Lamb, 11 receptions, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns.
He's a man.
Dalton Schultz, 6 receptions, 54 yards, 1 touchdown. His first good game of the year after being very highly touted in fantasy.
Well, he was hurt. He was hurt for quite a while.
He was banged up, and then when fucking Cooper Rush was in there, he didn't even look his way. So,
well, no, that's when he was hurt.
Right.
Rush was in there.
Well,
he just come back within the last week and a half. He didn't even get that many snaps.
I want to make sure we don't miss anything here because I jumped around quite a bit today, but I don't think we did. And the last game we have to talk about, unfortunately, was Colt McCoy in the Arizona Cardinals versus fucking John Wolford and the Los Angeles Rams. God.
What can you say? Beside the horrible officiating once again in this game.
Awful. It was awful. Everything about this game was awful.
J.J. Watt picks up a legitimate fumble as Mr. Wolford was sacked. J.J. Watt picks up a fumble and basically was getting ready to run it in for a touchdown, and they blew the whistle. What the fuck are you doing? What kind of goddamn fucking romper room incomplete pass? The fucking ball was popped out in the air. It was a fumble, a clear fumble, and they blew it dead and cost the fucking Cardinals a touchdown?
It didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
No, because it did matter. You want to know why? Because instead of being 27 to fucking 17, it would have been 35 to 17.
Oh, but 35-10 because the Rams ended up scoring on that drive.
Yes, they did, didn't they?
Yeah. Overall, here's the difference in this game. James Conner in his 3.3 yards per carry came out with 2 touchdowns, 21 rushes for 69 yards.
I will say this, Connor was running hard.
He ran hard yesterday.
He ran hard. I like guys that run hard. Listen, if you're out there just grabbing the fucking ball and you're getting fucking 1.5 yards per carry, but I see it takes about 6 guys to bring you down, you're running hard as far as I'm concerned.
And shockingly enough, the Cardinals just released Benjamin, so that made the running back room a little bit smaller.
It done.
But DeAndre Hopkins, 10 receptions for 98 yards. And I will say the Arizona defense played pretty well overall.
They did. They held...
and Colt McCoy didn't look that bad.
I didn't think he did.
He didn't look that bad. 26 for 37, 238, a touchdown.
You notice what he was doing, little 4-step drops and getting the ball out.
Yeah.
He was not getting that defense a chance to hone in on him.
On the other hand, I actually want to take a second on this one.
Okay.
Number one, all the rumors about Sean McVay retiring after this year are true. I truly believe that. He looks like a guy on the sideline who's so coked out and exhausted that he doesn't know which way's right and which way's left anymore.
Maybe he's got more in his life he wants to do.
Well,
I don't think
burned.
he's retiring.
I do. I think he's burned.
Yeah. Maybe he's just not good.
Matt Stafford, it doesn't matter when he comes back. If he comes back, the Rams season, I think, is essentially over due to the fact that, one, they can't choose a running back to make the guy. Cam Akers had 6 carries for 22 yards. Darrell Henderson had 6 carries for 21 yards. Neither of them are effective. Cooper Rush is now hurt, Cooper Kupp is now hurt. He had 3 receptions for -1 yard.
I actually think they shut him down.
They need to. It's time to shut him down.
They shut him down in this game, and we're letting Skronik.
Allen Robinson, big game, 4 receptions, 44 yards.
Allen Robinson, what a game.
Got your money's worth out of him there.
I'm sorry. What a game.
Yeah, you had guys like
I think
Tyron Williams.
I'm going to be honest with you. Knowing that Matt Stafford wasn't in there, I think they just shut him down.
Yeah, you're probably right.
He could have probably still played, to be honest with you. But they shut him down.
Well, the Rams season's over. It's time to shut everybody down.
I hope they lose every fucking game from here out.
Well, yeah, because then the Rams
because then the Rams
in their own.
Well, wait. That proves to you that the Rams method is garbage.
Well, it gets you a Super Bowl.
Super Bowl.
And then you get
you get a Super Bowl, and then you won't even make the fucking playoffs the next year.
Yeah.
I don't think the locker room over there when they won the Super Bowl was as close, was as tight.
What does that mean?
I feel like
what are you trying to say over there?
Like if the Bills do the Rams method, I feel like you'll have guys that'll want to come back to the Bills.
The Bills have a young core nucleus where the Rams do not.
Correct.
The Rams had seasoned veterans that you sprinkled a little bit of fucking new look in there. That's it. You name one young guy that was on the fucking Rams team. They're all gone.
Well, yeah.
Jared Goff was the youngest guy on that team, the quarterback.
Well, Akers is young.
Okay.
But
him and Goff.
Yeah.
And guess what? They're going to both be out the door here real
Von
quick.
Miller, he hasn't really done much
Who?
for the Bills.
Who?
Von Miller.
Von Miller?
Oh,
Von Miller's been in the league for fucking 12 years, dude.
Well, yeah, I know. And he won't show up unless the Bills are really. He won't
Aaron
really
Donald's
show
been in the league
up
12 years, dude. He's
until
about
the Bills
done.
are in the playoffs.
Listen to me.
But
Von Miller is more impactful just standing there than any other.
Than any guy that I get it, dude. I get that. I think the addition of Bobby Wagner, if they would have kept Von Miller,
that defense would have been
even as shitty as their offensive line is, that fucking defense would win you 3 games by itself.
Before we end today's show, I want to talk about the playoff picture as it currently stands and see where we think everybody is. So,
Okay.
And then I want to do we'll talk about tonight's game real quick after that. Right now, the AFC playoff picture as it stands has Kansas City winning their division, Miami winning their division, Tennessee winning their division, Baltimore winning their division. The Jets is wildcard team 1, Buffalo is wildcard team 2, and New England as wildcard team 3. So
I think
that
that's
means
about correct.
all 4 AFC East teams, as it stands right now, are making the playoffs.
It's because of the shitty records everywhere
The
else.
Chargers are 5-4, right behind them. Cincinnati's 5-4, and then Indy is the third team out at 4-5-1. So
Wouldn't it be something if Indianapolis makes the playoffs and they go on this fucking unbelievable run
I couldn't.
with Jeff Saturday as their fucking coach, dude?
So
Doesn't that just give everybody the big fuck you?
I would have to assume so. Yes.
That's awesome. I hope
right
it
now,
happens.
as it stands, do you think Kansas City wins their division?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think Miami wins theirs? Be
I
serious here. I get it. You have
serious,
the hard on for New
seriously?
England.
No, I think Miami will win a division.
You do.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
those 2 are in. Tennessee,
Yes. They should win their division. They should.
Baltimore.
Yes. I think they're the best team in the AFC.
Okay. Now, as far as wild card goes, do you think the Jets make the playoffs?
No.
Do you think Buffalo makes the playoffs?
I don't think Jets are going to make the playoffs just because I think the injury to Breece Hall is just too much for them to overcome.
Buffalo.
Yes.
New England.
Yes.
So then you have one more out. So if the Jets are out, you're choosing between the Chargers, Cincinnati, Indy, Cleveland, Denver, the rest of the field.
Chargers if they get healthy.
So right now you would have Kansas City winning the West, Miami winning the East, Tennessee winning the South,
Correct.
Baltimore winning,
Yes.
and then
The
Buffalo
North
is
or
wild
whatever
card
that
team
is.
1,
Yes.
Buffalo is wild card team 1, New England is wild card team 2,
Right.
and the Chargers is wild card team 3.
They'll be the odd man out.
The Chargers.
Correct.
Okay. Mine is a little different. I have Kansas City winning their division. I have Buffalo winning their division.
Okay.
I have Tennessee winning their division. And I have Cincinnati winning their division.
Okay.
I have Baltimore as as playoff team, as wild card team 1.
Okay.
I have Miami as wild card team 2.
Okay.
And I have the Jets as wild card team 3. Okay. So I don't think the Chargers have the ammo to make it. I think the injuries are going to be too much for them to bear.
I see. Here's the thing: they're going to get these guys back later on here when they're really going to fucking need them.
Yeah.
If they could pull out a couple of wins by the time they get healthy,
Guess what?
they'll be dangerous.
I got news for you. I don't see Keenan Allen coming back being effective and healthy this year. I don't see Mike Williams coming back being effective and healthy this year. I don't see Justin Herbert getting healthy this year because he can't. So I'm removing them.
Okay.
I'm taking Cincinnati to win the division over Baltimore in
That's interesting.
in a hair of a game,
Okay.
due to the fact that I think Cincinnati's more balanced. I think when Jamar Chase, they've done it without Jamar Chase, and Joe Mixon has looked really good. Baltimore can't run the football. They cannot run the football. That's it in a nutshell. I'm good.
They have the MVP on their team.
That's great. No, according to you, the MVP is in Philadelphia.
I'm sorry.
According to
No.
you, the MVP is in
And
Philadelphia.
I'm sorry. The AFC MVP is Lamar Jackson.
Anyways, that's fine and dandy. I think that it's going. The issues in Baltimore are, 1, that you can't run the ball, and 2, you don't have an effective receiver.
Lamar Jackson.
And if Mark Andrews is still out, which is why Lamar Jackson, part of the reason why he looks like an MVP, you have issues. So I'm taking Cincinnati to win that division. As far as the wild card teams go, I'm swapping Miami and Buffalo. Buffalo's ultimately going to win that division. Miami is going to be the best wild card team in it. We know why. I think Miami will lose 2 more stupid games than Buffalo, and they play each other again. So,
Well, here's the thing:
Ultimately-
Miami has to go up to Buffalo. We'll see
correct.
We'll see
and I don't
how
think that ends well.
in the tundra, because that's what Buffalo is that time of the year.
Correct. And I think New England's schedule is too difficult from here on out, so I don't see that.
You know what? I actually like New England because it's going to get shitty, and they'll have a home field advantage playing there in New England against these cute teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, mine stands. Kansas City wins their division. Buffalo, Tennessee, Cincinnati. Wildcard team 1 is Baltimore. Wildcard team 2 is Miami. Wildcard team 3 is the Jets.
Let's hear Bruce.
And I'm going to put an asterisk next to the Jets.
Okay.
Because that's the team I am least confident with due to the fact that I don't like Zach Wilson. I think he's a fucking fraud.
Without Breece Hall, they're going to
Without Breece Hall, it's an issue. And if I had to pick and I already gave you the reasons why I don't like the Chargers, I could see a situation where Indianapolis makes the playoffs in that 3rd spot.
Possible. Very possible.
I surprisingly actually agree with you.
What do you mean?
On everything except for wild card. I don't think the Patriots are going to be there.
I don't either.
You don't think the Patriots would be a wild card team?
You
I
could
do.
see the Jets or the Bengals there.
Well, here's the thing. Depending on where they're going to finish because their records, everybody needs to remember that the Bengals lost their first fucking 3 games of the year.
Yeah, but I don't think that's going to happen again.
You know what?
Look at the way they looked without Chase already.
Okay. Well, that could come back to haunt them too. We'll see next week. We'll
Yeah.
see next week.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's just how I feel from looking at it right now, as of today, perspective as of right now.
But I love Baltimore running the table. I think Miami's running the table. Titans and the Chiefs.
Okay.
NFC wise, right now it is obviously Philadelphia,
That's it. The first place, Philadelphia Eagles.
Minnesota,
Yes.
Seattle, Tampa.
Well.
And then
I think you might see.
I'm telling you who's in it.
Okay, go ahead.
Wild card teams are the Giants, Dallas, and Frisco.
Okay.
So go ahead. Now you can roast Tampa Bay. Go ahead.
I didn't roast anybody.
You're ready to.
I think Philadelphia will win their division.
Mm-hmm.
I think Minnesota will win their division. That pretty much good. I
That's
think
good
San
so far.
Francisco will run away with their division sooner.
So
or
far,
later.
we're 3 for 3.
Okay, and then in the South, I think Tampa Bay might make it. I don't know. It's going to be a toss-up between them and Atlanta. I'd say probably Tampa. Maybe win their division. Maybe.
So we're 4 for 4 there.
Okay.
So essentially,
Wild card teams.
we take Seattle out and put San Francisco into that division.
Yes, I think Seattle will be the first wild card team in.
Okay.
What are you oohing about?
I don't like that.
Why?
Just don't agree.
I think they'll win enough games to where they'll be in there. Listen, that South.
Well, this is the
you're
problem.
only getting one team out of the South, and it's going to be
Giants
Tampa.
are above
No,
that.
but you're not going to get it. If realistically, you're not going to. Yeah, the only team out of the South will be Tampa. Okay? Guess what? The Giants already have a better record than Seattle,
Correct.
as does Dallas.
Correct. There's your other 2 wild card teams.
Yeah.
So you think it's going to be Seattle, the Giants, and Dallas?
Yes.
Now, I think, listen. So yours are Philly, Minnesota, Frisco, Tampa,
3 teams
Seattle,
out of the East are going.
Seattle, Giants, Dallas.
Yeah, just because of the records.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with you on wild card front. So I
As
have
of right
Philly-
now. As of right
As
now.
of right
as
now.
the way it sits right now.
Correct.
Are you going to tell me that there's any teams in the South that are better than the NFC East?
No,
No.
no,
No.
I'm not.
Because all the teams in the South have a fucking losing
But I got
record.
news for you. Seattle isn't winning more than another 2 or 3 games.
Oh, I don't
Dallas-
believe that. I
Dallas?
don't believe that.
Dallas is on the toboggan fucking ride down.
Okay.
I was impressed the most by one team this weekend, and that was Green Bay. And I get
Green
it.
Bay is good. Green Bay, they would have to at this point.
No, they're not.
The Lions are basically have them in a division right now.
Guess
They
what?
have a fucking win over
2
them.
and 1 in the division.
But that doesn't matter for wild card. Wild card, we're going off of straight record.
Oh, straight record.
Okay.
They have one more
As
win.
far as right, well, guess what? I mean, they're 1 game behind Tampa. They're 1 game behind Frisco.
Right.
Okay, they're 2 games behind Dallas.
And how many games are they behind Seattle?
2.
3.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Seattle's 6-4. Green Bay's 4-6. They're 2 games behind
Okay.
Seattle. So, I personally think Green Bay, the way that they played over the weekend, is better right now and going forward than Seattle
Whoa.
and Dallas.
That game, the Green Bay game, You know that was the big punch Mike McCarthy in the asshole game. That's what that was.
Correct, but I think
They came out fired up and wanted to fucking rub Mike McCarthy's face.
That's what he needed. That's
Can
what
they
needed.
Can they
to
do that
motivate
from
him.
here out? That's the,
You know how with Brady, there's always the get the train rolling game.
yeah. Okay.
I think that was the get the train rolling game with Rodgers. And
Could've
like you
been.
just said about New England, you think that they got the home field advantage. There's nobody in the league who has home field advantage like Green Bay. Period. I think somehow it's going to come down.
Kansas City.
Okay, I'll give you that one. It's going to come
And
down
Seattle.
to
Keep it
week
over
18.
here. Keep it in the NFC.
It's going to come down to
in the
week
NFC.
18 where they have to absolutely massacre the Lions at Lambeau
Well, here's
to
the
make
thing.
the playoffs.
All right. As of right now, the Vikings have a fucking 4-game lead.
That's not a question. For me personally, the NFC division champions are set. Philly will win the division. Minnesota will win the division. Honestly, the most confident one is Minnesota because the Giants are only 2 games behind Philly. If something happens, hypothetically, let's say Jalen Hurts misses 3 games, that one could get switched around. But Philly's winning their division. Minnesota commandingly wins the fucking A. I think if they win 3 more games, they win it.
They clinch.
Right.
They clinch.
So,
Well, here's the thing. They're going to be playing some division games. That's going to
correct.
mean everything.
But I don't think that's going to matter.
Well, if
realistically,
you remember, didn't? No, Minnesota only lost to Philadelphia.
correct. That's their only loss. So they've beaten everybody.
So they beat Green Bay
correct.
and they beat Detroit.
Correct.
Correct. Have they played Chicago already and beat Chicago? Minnesota?
I don't think they have. But
No.
hold on. I'm going to double check this to make sure. But
I'm just checking.
The Lions
because-
have only made 2 divisions.
they've beaten. So they beat Green Bay week 1, lost to Philly week 2, beat Detroit week 3, beat New Orleans week 4, beat Chicago week 5. So yes,
did play
they've beaten everybody once.
Okay.
And then they finished the year at Green Bay at Chicago.
Well, these next 3 division games mean everything to them.
No, it doesn't. The
Yeah,
only
it
one they
does.
play, the last 2 games of the year, they play Green Bay and Chicago, which don't mean shit because they're already
who do they play from here out right now?
Dallas,
Minnesota.
Dallas,
That's a big game.
New England,
That's a huge game.
Jets,
That's a big game.
Detroit.
If they lose a couple out of those 3, and let's say Green Bay gets hot, it could get sticky down the
They
end.
ain't gonna.
Down the end of the stretch when Aaron Rodgers has to play the Detroit Lions at Lambeau Field
Last game is big.
and to clinch it, to play a 1-game playoff.
I
to
don't
go
think
win the
it's
division.
too far gone already for Green Bay to win the division. They're 4 games back. Actually, they're 5 games back.
They need Minnesota to lose a couple of games.
It's not going to happen. Minnesota's going to wrap this division. But I truly think Minnesota loses to Green Bay on New Year's Day and loses to Chicago on January 8th, and it won't matter because they'll have already clinched by then. But I think that gives Green Bay an opportunity to make the playoffs because if you look at Green Bay going forward, they have Tennessee.
Okay. That's not an easy game.
Not an easy game. Then at Philly.
Not an easy game.
But I'm going to put a circle around that game.
Why?
I just am.
You're going to call me an asshole, but the Lions are only a game behind Green Bay.
At
They're 2-1
Chicago.
in the division.
And 2-1
At
in-
Chicago.
Yeah.
Bye week. Rams, Miami, Minnesota, Detroit.
So now, if
Rams.
hold on. If,
Rams, Miami, Minnesota,
You
Detroit.
think the
Is
Rams
their
are
last-
going to beat San Francisco?
Sweetheart, I'm talking about Green Bay's schedule.
Oh, okay.
Their last 4 games out of the bye are the Rams, Miami, Minnesota, Detroit. And Minnesota will have already clinched, and the Rams are fucking awful. And the only real game they have the last 4 games of the year is at Miami. Because they played Chicago before the bye. So I see them winning the last 5. I think Green Bay's going to win the last 5.
win the last 5.
Yep.
They're going to win out.
They're going to well, no, I think they're
No,
going to
dude.
I think they're going to lose they might lose to Tennessee. Actually, you know what? It's
think they'll
Thursday
lose-
night football.
I think they'll lose to Chicago.
I think they beat Tennessee.
I
Aaron
do
Rodgers
too.
beats Tennessee
Yeah.
on Thursday night football. I'm going to put an asterisk next to the Philadelphia game
That's the game right there.
because that might be the trap game.
I'd put
No,
an asterisk
that's
against
the game.
Bears.
That's the game that will solidify the Philadelphia Eagles as the best team in the NFC.
He's so high and mighty on the Bears. You don't think the Bears will beat Green Bay?
No, I think the Bears will lose in Chicago to Green Bay. And then they go into the bye
Why,
week.
you don't think Justin Fields will run all over them?
Aaron Rodgers out of the bye. No, I don't. I don't.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers out of the bye week. We've seen it how many times?
Yeah.
He plays the Rams and Matt Stafford at Lambeau.
That could be ugly.
That'll be ugly.
Stafford's
At Miami, that's going to be a tough, gutty game. But ultimately,
That at Miami game is
interesting.
That's a trap game right there.
And that'll be a lot for the division. But then they play Minnesota and Detroit, and Minnesota will have already clinched, and they have Detroit at Lambeau the last game of the year. And we've seen how many times when Green Bay has a playoff spot on the line, and they play Detroit at Lambeau.
When is the last time Detroit has beat Green Bay at Lambeau?
I have no idea.
I think it was Stafford.
You know what?
No.
I think
Didn't they do it last year?
I think
Early
they
in
did.
the year.
I think
they
they
played
did.
at Lambeau in like September last year, and I think they won.
The last game of the year is them too.
At Detroit, though.
At Detroit, yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Did
last
they
year.
win? They beat Green Bay last year?
Yes.
First?
Yeah, they did.
That was one of their 3 wins last year.
One of
So,
their 3 wins.
I'll say this much. My NFC playoff picture is as follows. Philadelphia, Minnesota, San Francisco, Tampa Bay, the Giants, the Packers, and the Cowboys.
Well, I said that too.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You had Seattle in still.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had Seattle.
I'm putting Green Bay in over
I
Seattle.
had Seattle over who? Dallas?
Green Bay.
I put him over Green Bay? Oh, shit. Okay.
See, I got you a little bit.
No, I
this
just
Green
can't-
Bay
I'm trying
thing's
to
starting to make sense. I'm sorry,
Well,
but
Green Bay ain't going to make
No,
any
they-
fucking
they-
sense till they win a few more games.
I agree.
Regular season last year, Monday, September 20th, lost to Green Bay
At Green Bay.
at Green Bay.
So I don't even know the last time the Lions won at fucking Lambeau then.
It was Stafford.
Put it in last time. No, it wasn't.
I'm telling you.
I don't think Stafford ever won.
Yes,
a
he
fucking
did.
Green
Yes,
Bay.
he did.
He was the first one to.
He was the first one to do it in 4 decades or some
Whatever.
shit. Anyways, before we end
Was
today's
Aaron
show,
Rodgers hurt in that game?
probably they played fucking Jordan Love. Let's talk about. I want to hear your thoughts on the Eagles Commanders game tonight on Monday Night Football before we close out today's show.
We already talked about it, but
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
That was on Friday. Today's
Well,
Monday.
you know-
Let's hear what you think's going to happen.
The key to this game is going to be real simple: is can Philadelphia sustain a running attack against a good D line? That's the key of the game.
Well, what's his name's not playing tonight?
Who?
The defensive end. I'm having a moment.
Chase Young?
Yeah.
No, Chase Young's not even activated.
Well, they were
Off of
going to
IR.
activate him for today, and then he had a set.
No, yeah, he's.
So.
I wouldn't. You're not going to see him the rest of this year. It doesn't matter because you have Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne in the middle of that
that's
line, and those 2 Alabama players are just absolutely sickening on the inside there. I'm curious to see how Taylor Heineke handles the Philadelphia defense.
I am too.
That to me is going to be a very key thing if he
It's
can
going to
play
be the
within
biggest
himself.
component of it all, right?
Huh?
That's going to be the biggest proponent.
I really think it's going to be a competitive game, believe it or not.
I do too.
I mean, some people think that, Philly's going to blow them out.
No.
I don't think that's going to happen.
This is an 11-point line. I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a closer game than that.
It might get ugly late depending on how.
Correct, but
the most
I
part,
will say
I
this
see
much.
it close.
I'll say this much. I would not be shocked if this is a field goal game.
Okay.
I wouldn't be shocked. And honest to God, I wouldn't be shocked if somehow Washington finds a way to win this game. I picked Washington on
We'll see
Friday.
what kind of magic Taylor Heineke
I
brings
want.
to them.
You know what? You may have convinced me that Taylor Heineke is just Harry Houdini.
Hey, you know what?
2018 was the last time they won.
2018
2018
At Lambeau.
at Lambeau.
at Lambeau. Did Aaron Rodgers play?
I'm just looking up
Okay.
football database, just
Okay.
scores.
What was the score?
It was 31-0.
Aaron Rodgers didn't fucking play.
The Lions won 31-0
31
at Green Bay.
to nothing
I don't believe
at
that.
Green Bay.
I've seen them lose that much at Green Bay.
I'm looking at it.
Okay.
And then they came later that year and
December
lost
30th,
again.
2018.
They lost again at Detroit, 31-20.
The Packers went 6-9 that year. And Deshaun Kaiser
was the quarterback. I knew fucking Aaron Rodgers didn't play. I knew it. Sean Kaiser. You remember him, the kid from
Rodgers
Notre Dame?
suffered a concussion in the first quarter to bring in Deshaun Kaiser, and the Packers ended the year with a 31-0.
They got routed.
Lions, yes.
Who was the quarterback?
Deshaun Kaiser.
No, for the Lions.
Oh, Stafford.
Was it Stafford?
2018.
Yeah.
Stafford.
God bless Matt Stafford and the
Anyway,
Rams.
God
They
bless
need it.
Kelly Stafford.
They need all your prayers in Los Angeles.
No,
Anyway,
they don't. We don't want
thank you
them.
guys so much for listening to another episode of the Tip Balls Podcast. We will be back midweek with Fantasy Frenzy. If you are not following us on Instagram and Twitter, please do so at Tip Balls, TikTok at Tip Balls Podcast. If you are listening to us on Apple Music or Spotify, make sure to check us out on YouTube. We're very entertaining to watch. And make sure to subscribe. What? You're shaking your head and fucking with your beard. You're over here playing the air drums. Anyways, we'll be back with Fantasy Frenzy. Thanks so much for listening. Have a fabulous week.